Welcome to the Inspirational Devotions new segment called My Piece, where we showcase guests who highlight a piece of themselves with the hope of inspiring others to find internal peace. I'm Dr. L.T. Dreher, and today I'm joined by Diane Parker, my caring, thoughtful, and extremely wise mother. She is one of the most spiritual yet down-to-earth persons I know. If you need to pour your heart out and receive empathy, honesty, and wisdom, she is the person. She has a heart of gold. I've witnessed her go into the trenches to not only ensure individuals and families are fed and cared for, but their pets as well. She is the type who will give you the clothes off her back and her last to ensure others are okay. Her life has been like an entire action-packed motion picture, but somehow she managed to gracefully survive and thrive beyond all of the trials and tribulations to becoming a mother and minister in her church. In her inspirational piece, she guides us through her life experiences, the importance of loving thy neighbor, how she was able to overcome addiction, her unconditional and untiring love for God and family, and encouraging words to her struggling peers, our precious, wise, and mature community. I am excited to learn more about her passions and how she prevailed through horrific and hopeless situations to becoming a loving wife, an excellent mother, and an outstanding grand and great-grandmother to her generation. It is my honor to offer her the opportunity to inspire others by speaking godly yet relatable wisdom into their lives. Sitting here right now with my mother, Diane Parker, the woman who raised me and who gave me life and who kept me in church from day one. So church was her life, is her life, and will always be her life. But she is herself. She is the realest person I know and will always be. Now, some people, they can't handle her. Some people. But the people who know her, they love her. So anyhow, I just wanted to introduce you to my mother. And we want to have a little conversation right now about church because it's a huge part of her life. And she is what I call, and she don't like for me to say this, but I call a street minister. And the reason why I say that is because I don't care who you are or what you look like or what you've done. My mother has a gift and has been blessed to be able to walk up to that person and speak life into their life. And so that's why I call her a street minister. She would love on them. She'll give them what they need. She would advise them. She would do everything that they need. And she allows God to use her as a vessel in their life. So I just want to allow her to speak to you to let you know how she feel about a young person, what they call babes in Christ, that's trying to find God, and they come into the church and they end up running into either judgment or chaos or things like that, and it turns them away from the church because of it. She's been there, and so she understands it. But she didn't allow that to keep herself out of the church because she knew it wasn't about her in the church. She knew it was about her and God. So now I'm going to turn it over to my dear mother, Minister Diane Parker. So, Mama, what do you have to say as far as about that babe that's coming into church and they, dressed a certain way and they get those looks and things like that? What would you say to that babe?
Well, God says, come as you are, but he doesn't mean your clothes. He means your heart. Whatever you're doing, if you got drugs, if you're a drug addict, come to church. Whatever you're doing that you think is wrong, come to church. And the more you come to church, either you're going to stay there in the name of the Lord, or you're going to go back out to what you're doing. But don't come to church expect to be hugged and kissed and loved all the time. Because church people is just like outdoor people. They have their feelings. Sometimes you come there, they may be low in spirit. Mm-hmm. But you come there to serve God, not them. Never them. You don't come there to serve the pastor. You come to listen to him, but you come there to serve God. Mm-hmm. That way, even if you're not in church, you can still serve God. You can serve him in your bed, in your front room, in your kitchen. You can serve him anywhere you go if he's in your heart.
Okay.
You don't need nobody.
That's for nobody but God.
Nobody but God.
Okay, so did you ever run into a situation when you, like, either came to church for the first time, or if you had left church, what they call backsliding, which is, I don't like that term, but what they call backsliding, and you knew that, you just wanted to get back to God, get back on track, things like that. Have you ever come back to church and experienced things that made you feel uncomfortable? And if so, how did you handle it?
I just kept my mind on God.
Well, first, I want you to talk about as far as, how did you, was it your first time or was it you coming back?
It was the coming back.
Okay. So you had been out a while. I want you to explain.
Well, for one, I had to learn that going to church does not make me have my relationship with God that I needed. So if I have a relationship with God, if I don't go to church, I can still go to church because church is in your heart.
How do you go to church outside of church?
I turn my TV on. First, I get in my Bible and I pray. Then I turn on the TV with religious music. And after I pray, I start singing. And this is like can go on to the next day. But I'm in church.
That's that minister and the whole next day. Okay.
But I'm in church.
That's right.
Church is in me.
That's right. Okay. And secondly, I have been blessed. My mother hasn't had an easy life. I mean, she has had one of the rough life. And most people, even though she's the baby of the family, most people thought she would be the one gone first. But here she is. All the other ones are gone, or most of them. But she's still here. She's 75 years old. And she is hanging in there and living her best life. When I tell you, she travels. She plays bingo. She loves her church, but she does other things. She loves doing other things. Mama, if you had to encourage someone else that's 75 or older and they're feeling like life is over, what would you say to them?
Life's never over as long as you're living. And you can get up out of your bed, then you can do practically anything that you set your mind to.
And what keeps you going when you get out of bed in the morning and, you're just kind of sitting around because you're retired and you don't have, you don't have to go to work, things like that. Is it the passions that you have? What are some of the passions that you have that keep you going?
I like cleaning. Mm-hmm. I love cleaning. Mm-hmm. I'm retired from that also.
What about shopping?
Oh, no. I have to pray about that.
But you do love shopping, right?
I try to buy the whole store. I don't even look at the size sometimes. I come home with clothes too little, clothes too big. I forgot to look at the size.
What about traveling? That's what I'm like. What are some of the things that you just absolutely love doing that gives you life?
I love traveling. I don't like the plane, but
right.
I love traveling.
Yeah.
It's just other places are different.
Artwork
I love to draw
and paint.
and paint, and I took some pictures up here that I'm thinking about getting enlarged and put in frames.
Mm-hmm.
They silhouettes.
See, now she's being humble because she actually went to school for art. So she's an artist. So she's the type that can see something outside and all of a sudden just start dibbling, dabbling, and drawing. And before you know it, she done drew what y'all just saw. And so this, I think, is what kind of keeps her up and going.
Art, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Along with the other things.
I want to see other parts of the world. Everything's different. Everybody's different.
So if you see one of those people or elderly person that's struggling and having a hard time, and they feeling like I've already lived part of my life, and they're getting depressed and they're not doing their passions, what would you tell them?
You'd be surprised what's out here for seniors. Look in your papers. They got cruises for seniors. Everything is a lot for seniors now. Go on a cruise.
Right.
Just travel. You got kids all over the world. Go and see your kids before you leave this world.
Mm-hmm. And feel the
so
relationship
much to
with
do.
the grandkids.
You may think you're through, but you got a lot to do.
Yeah.
There's so much you can do, especially if you got good health.
Mm-hmm.
And what makes you have good health is to keep moving.
Right.
Keep moving.
Now, for those who may have bad health,
have somebody help you move.
Don't be afraid to ask, right?
Don't be afraid to ask. I need to go on a plane. I can't walk. They don't have a wheelchair waiting for you.
Mm-hmm. I can't do my medicine. And remember it. Ask somebody to do that, right? Help you with
ask
that.
A stranger to help you with your medicine.
Right.
What do that say on there?
Right.
Every 4 hours or every 6 hours? Hey, ask.
Right.
Ask. You never know unless you ask.
Okay. As I mentioned before, my mother's life wasn't easy. And so she ended up, with an addiction, things like that, like quite a few people. But instead of me judging her, looking down on her, it actually made me admire her and admire her wisdom and experience that she got from it, because with me, at least, because we had a wonderful personal relationship, she was able to teach me a lot, things to do, things not to do, and she would talk with me. And so it helped me to not only understand, and to not be judgmental, but to understand people who may be going through addictions, and just things like that, and how to love them regardless. And so I just want her to talk a little bit about, how some of the things she went through, how she came out of it, and just a few other things about it. So, Mom, like I was saying, we know that you had a pretty hard life, and sometimes, and we just cannot be perfect. So sometimes we fall into some bad times, do some things we may not supposed to do or whatever. However, it is what it is, right?
Right.
So I want you to talk a little bit about what you went through, some of the emotions, some of the things you felt while you was going through that.
When I was deep in an addiction, it's just like anything else. It's a habit that you can't break. It's like someone you left and they won't let you go. And it's not going to let you go. You have to let it go. And the way you let it go, you have to believe in something else. And that belief have to overpower what you're doing in order for you to come out.
Wow.
And how do you feel? You feel lonely. You feel like no one loves you. You want to know where everybody at, why they're not coming over. You know why, but that's how you feel.
And then, a lot of times, when you do come around, how do people treat you?
Like you wasn't there when they needed you. So why should they be here when you need them?
Yeah.
When you got people like I had the love of my children and of God that's just waiting for me, it helped me to stay sober longer because I had love. And that's what you need. That's what you're missing. That's what you're pushing away, is that love. Who wants to knock on your door and you come to the door looking every way but at them? No one. So everyone stays away. It's a lonely life, and you don't want to go into it.
So how living that lonely life and feeling like you all alone, did you ever at any time feel like Jesus? Like, oh God, why are you forsaking me? You're supposed to love me. Why am I having to go through this thing that I can't seem to kick? Did you ever feel that way?
Yeah, but he can't let you kick it until you are ready. You have to be ready to kick it.
So you think it was for a purpose that you had to go through that?
I think it was something I chose, and I had to choose to come out of it.
Okay.
And I prayed to God while in it.
Right.
I prayed. Let this be my last time. I prayed. And I guess he heard me, or I guess he heard me, or I listened.
Or you didn't stop until he did.
Right.
Yeah, where some people give up on God. You know, I had a time in my life where I literally gave up on God. I turned my back on him. You know, and so not everybody will be able to kick addiction, because instead of them not giving up, they will give up. You know, and so.
But you got to have a higher power. It may not be God. It can be your children. It can be it can be food. Mm-hmm. It can be your dog.
Sport.
It can be your sport.
Right.
Whatever that higher power is, that's what you're going to go into more than you going into the addiction in order to kick it.
That's good. That's good.
And that's the only way you will be able to kick it. You have to convince yourself.
So for those that feel like they have someone in their lives who has an addiction, what would you tell who has an addiction but they done gave up on them because they feel like they're just constantly getting over on me and stealing from me and doing it. You know, they're never gonna give up, so now they give up on them. What would you tell them?
Don't say never. If you stand by them, if you talk to them, you have to talk to them and stay by them. Mm-hmm. And eventually your presence will win over the addiction.
And their love.
And their love for you, and they'll come out. But don't give up on them, never. Mm-hmm. If you give up on them, they'll give up on themselves.
Oh, my God. That's facts. That's wisdom. That's wisdom right there.
You crazy.
And last, as far as your life, I've been constantly telling them that you've lived a full life. Not all good, not all bad, but a full life. Would you like to give a testimony about your life starting, I would say, from the beginning? And I'll say a little bit just to get you started. But my mom, at a very young age, lost her dad. And she had 4 brothers and sisters. And her mom was a homemaker. And it just literally tore their life apart. Because now, of course, mom had to go out and work, and she had the kids, and she had the older brother, and she was the baby. So everybody was older than her, and it seemed like it was nothing but chaos because everybody was trying to figure everything out. So, Mom, can you tell me, going back to then, what your life was like? And from then on to moving forward to now, step by step. So go back to you, Soupy, Arnold, Jeannie, and Grandma Audrey.
Well, like you say, life was a chaos, and there was lots of turmoil. I was being fighting almost 24 hours a day, locked in closets, thrown down steps, just everything. And the only thing would come to my mind, where is my mom? Where's my mom? Don't she love me? Where's my mom? That's all I would ask. Where's my mom? You know. But mom was out trying to feed 6 kids, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I don't know how she did it, but she did it. Some days we had peanut butter sandwiches. Some days sugar sandwiches. Some days mayonnaise sandwiches. So, you know, it's just, It was hard. But, I mean, we didn't go hungry. We eat 6 loaves of bread.
Yeah, and so once you turn 17, 18.
Don't go that far.
Once you turn 17, 18. What was your mindset at that point after going through all of that?
Going through all the chaos, I left home at 13. I went to live with my sister. I left there because of problems.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt there's no place in life for me to go. But then I remember that I could go to God. As a young child, I could go to God. And that's where I went. And that's how I got a hold of life.
Did you meet any people on the way? At what point did you meet your godmother?
I was with her mother, and I met her, and I found out she was a church lady, so I cling to her.
Mm-hmm.
And
what did she do? Yeah,
she helped me throughout my life. When I was in my addiction, she raised my kids. You know, I don't know if it was the best, but she raised them. And it's like God sent me godly people. When I still was in my addiction, I had a deacon that raised my kids. These are all godly people.
Mm-hmm.
So God was there for me. Mm-hmm. I didn't see it, but he was there.
And you would ask him, like, where are you? But he was there the whole time, huh?
No, but I'm here. I'm here. That's what he would tell me. So I'm here waiting for you.
You was mentioning to me when you kind of was in the trenches that even then he sent godly people to you to try to get you to go into church. And you're like, wait, what? Did you think you was worthy?
Not then. Not when I'm doing wrong. I didn't think I was worthy. I still would talk to him. I still would pray, but I didn't think I was worthy. But I was.
What changed?
You are worthy.
Oh, yeah. What changed your mind?
My kids, my love for my kids.
Yeah, so
love for my family. I love family.
Mm-hmm.
All of that changed me because I wanted to be with them and not in the addiction.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to be with God and not in the addiction. So I had lots of high powers, which is nice to have.
Mm-hmm.
More than one. And that's what changed my life. And I stayed around godly people. He kept me around his people.
Mm-hmm. And so when you came back, did you think your kids was going to accept you? Or what was your train of thought? What was your plan?
Well, back then, your plan is just to be smothered in the love you have that wasn't there, you know, mm-hmm. and hoping that'll keep you out of it, the love.
Right.
Because my kids, they didn't forsake me or leave me. They just backed up mm-hmm. because I wasn't answering the phone. I wasn't answering the door, so why keep coming?
Right.
But when I start answering the phone and door, they start coming back to me.
So once again, you went right back to never give up.
Never give up. No, there's always someone out there that loves you.
Okay. So that moment came when you ended up accepting the love. They ended up accepting you. Everything was, not perfect, but it came to a point where you no longer needed that addiction.
Right.
Your life had turned around. You ended up closer with your higher power. At that point, that could be even looked at as now. From the trenches that you were in to where you are right now, what can you say to encourage that person that's in that trench right now as far as the path that you had to go to get from there to where you are now? What would you tell them besides never giving up?
Always
Like, what are some of the things you did, even when you went back and thought about it, and just things like that? What would you tell them?
Just always believe. I don't care how deep you get. Always keep it in your mind that someone out there still loves you better than the addiction. Don't let the addiction love you.
So right now, what is that life that you living right now? Because when I see you, I feel like you living your best life. So from then to now, how are you living?
Right now, I still love my kids. I don't care if they go to Africa, I'll be there. I love my kids. And to be around them, it just gives me so much joy to be around them and see how their lives are. And next to God, my kids is next in my life and my heart. Mm-hmm. And I'll do anything to be around them.
And your family in general, your kids,
the
your
whole family, the kids, grandkids, great-grandkids, grandsons. I just love them all. I'll do anything to be around all of them. So that means I have to travel here in the world and there in the world and Chicago just to be around my family.
Right.
I love family.
Yeah, so to those who would say, well, I'm too old to travel, what would you tell?
Get somebody to take you.
That's right. All right, well, did you have anything else that you would like to say that you think would encourage something that's extremely passionate to you that you think would encourage someone in life?
Never think God has gave up on you. You have gave up on God.
Okay.
He's waiting for you.
Okay.
Or whatever higher power you have, they're waiting for you.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, thank you all for listening to this. Thank you all for listening to this podcast, and hopefully it'll help you out with whatever you're going through. See you soon. I hope you enjoyed and was inspired by this segment of My Piece. These new personal pieces will be posted to YouTube after every 5 or 10 episodes of Inspirational Devotions. So stay tuned and don't miss the next episode of My Piece coming up soon. Have a blessed day.